Glenn,
Mate,
we meet again.
how's it going, mate?
It's good, man. It's good. We're releasing a giant spider movie, and I'm concurrently working on a giant shark movie. So, all hands on deck.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
I'm
And
going through all the giant scary things.
yeah, man. And speaking of giant scary things, you decided to dress like me. I think that's cool.
Or have you decided to dress like me?
I think we ran into this problem last time as well.
Yeah, we're clones. We're
Yeah.
film nerds, man. We all look the same.
Far out. Let's talk about Sting. Firstly, I just got to say, putting Noni Hazelhurst into a horror film, like, kudos to you. That's awesome.
It was my absolute pleasure, man. I love Noni. I had a giant crush on her when I was a kid. Not that I told her that, but yeah, I was in love with her like for many, many years. I was very, very happy to finally get to work with her.
Yeah, like I mean, obviously she's had an illustrious career in television and film, but like she's always the queen of play school to me. Like, how did you feel like a kid like working with her? Did it
Yeah,
did it take you right back? Did you regress?
I did. I did. I was like the whole time. I was just like, please, can you tell me exactly what was behind the rocket ship? You know what I mean? But apparently, what was behind the rocket ship was just a very, very professional, sick actor. Like, she's actually just one of the best actors in the country. Like, yeah, she was amazing to work with, and a lot naughtier than I thought. She had a very ribald sense of humor, which I really loved.
She's been getting a lot naughtier over the last few years. I've noticed that.
Yeah, she doesn't care anymore. But man,
No,
she cares about the acting. Like, she's very good. Like, just yeah, so good to work with. Like, and very funny. Like, just a very natural comedian. She
yeah,
can do drama, like comedy, horror, all of the things.
mm. Yeah. Oh man, what was like? Was she easy to lure? Like, did it take much convincing to get her on board?
I don't remember having to convince her really. She had worked with Jamie and Ponton, Jamie Hilton and Michael Ponton on June Again.
Hmm.
So like they'd had a very good experience. And when they came to her and just said, "Look, we've got this giant spider thing. Kia's good to work with." She's like, "Sure, okay. Tell me when to." She read the script and she's like,
Yeah.
"Wait, so basically I have to sit on a couch and knit for 3 weeks." She's like, "I'll be doing that anyway," you know. Whereas Robin Nevin like read the script and went, "Can't I have Noni's role?" I'm like, "No, Robin, we need to torture you for many, many. Every day you come on set, it's going to be a hard day for you."
Yeah,
Um,
man. Like, speaking of Robin though, like she fully commits to horror. Like, she was in Relic and really
yeah.
went hard on the horror, body horror stuff, particularly. What do you think like appealed to both of them about this type of film, a creature feature?
Well, Robin needed convincing. Like Noni's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, armchair knitting, not a problem. Robin read the script and loved the script. She hates horror films though, so I
Hmm.
think the only reason she kind of did it was because she did sense that there was something a little deeper, and she saw some clever things in the script that she liked, and the drama was on point.
Yeah.
She liked the character, like it's a meaty, evil character to play. And I mean, anybody who knows Robin Nevin, like she loves to do big, dramatic, theatrical stuff. So, like, I think she was looking forward to that. But it was important for her to get me on the phone and just talk her through like how we were going to do some things because we were
Hmm.
asking her to do some pretty outrageous, horrible things. But I just talked her through it and said, look, it's not as bad as you think, and it's mostly just trick angles and all of
Mm.
that stuff. But I mean, I have intense arachnophobia, which one would question why I would make this movie, but she's even worse. So she couldn't even look at the spider puppet that Weta made, like
Yeah,
literally,
yeah.
like it wasn't a joke. She's like, don't put it anywhere near me. Like she was really disturbed by it, and I really enjoyed watching that.
Far out, man. Like, what compelled you to make a spider film if you're so arachnophobic?
Well, my job is to make scary films. So like literally my job is to think of the worst thing that I can think of
Yep.
and put that on the screen for you guys. And yeah, like one of the worst things that I could think of is like a giant spider the size of a bulldog that bites you, incapacitates you, drags you in an air conditioning duct, and eats you slowly while you're paralyzed and can't do anything about it.
Uh huh. That'll do it.
Yeah, just
How?
the image, because I just had a baby when I was making it, so the image of a giant spider like coming
Yeah.
down onto a crib with a
Yeah.
baby inside it, I'm just like, I've never seen that on screen before, and I'm like, I want to put that on screen,
It's such an amazing image too, and the movie
Yeah.
is packed with those sort of great
I
images. But
thought that should have been the poster, actually.
it would have been
I
great. It
love
would have
our
been
poster.
probably.
Don't get me wrong,
You
but
got
I'm
to be.
like,
You
that
got to
should
be
have been the
careful.
poster.
People are very sensitive these days. You got to be careful. How
That's true.
phobic would
That's
you say
true.
you are in real life?
Yeah, but like paralytic, like if I see a spider, my first instinct is to just cry. So like, yeah, I'm so scared of them that I have an inability to take an action. Like, yeah, it's there's something about like the little black thing with like 8 legs that's just really alien to me. Like, and I was
Dude.
hoping that making this would help me with my fear, but I mean, it didn't at all. Like, I'm still just as arachnophobic as I was before.
I
Now I
mean,
just have a movie about it.
when you're watching it in the cut though, like, does it creep you out? Even though you were there behind the scenes, you know how all the how the magic was done, but was it a
Not
freakish
really,
experience?
because I know the puppet, and I'm like, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's my little puppet guy, and I know that there's like 3 puppeteers who I had coffee with, and another 3 puppeteers over there, and then there's the legend Joel from Weta from New Zealand who was like sort of bringing up the rear and like controlling the mandibles, and but I get a bit creeped out when you see the spider footage. There's a documentary and you see a spider eating a thing, and I'm just like, that really creeps me out. Or
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the thing that creeps me out more actually than the puppet stuff is the stuff off screen, because my brain fills it in with a giant spider, and I'm actually more creeped out by the scenes
Mm.
where you don't see the spider, where I'm just thinking about it. And but yeah, it's a rough film for me to watch. I made it. I had to watch it a
Yeah.
100 times. So yeah, it still creeps me out. Yeah.
I shit you not. Like the next morning after I watched it, I had a huntsman on my windscreen in the car. So that's some good marketing for the publicist to take on board. Where their screenings, just while they're watching a movie, go and put spiders on their cars. Like,
Yeah,
do wonders.
you have no idea how much it costs for us to put spiders on all of the film journalists' windows. But I'm glad it's working out. Somebody's doing their job.
That's right. Look, I'm just really glad that we've finally got a really good, decent spider movie, because it's been 34 years since Arachnophobia, which to me is the beacon of scary spider movies. It still holds up to this day. Clearly, you have an affection for that sort of stuff too. But there is something. The reason I bring that up is because it's a Spielberg production, and your film has a very, very Spielbergian kind of quality to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that something you were aware of? Is that an influence you leaned into? What did you
Hundred
draw
percent.
influence from?
Yeah, 100%. Like I grew up watching like Poltergeist and Jaws in particular, and like he's the king of family drama, horror, comedy, whatever the hell. But there's a Spielbergian
Yeah,
genre
yeah.
where you've got like a family in crisis. And it's usually a messy family that's like
Mm-hmm.
there's some kind of divorce looming or some kind of cracks forming,
Absent
but they all love
father.
each other and there's humor. Absent
Yeah.
father, monster enters or entity enters, and hijinks ensue. And he's a filmmaker who I like. Every time, like, he just raises the bar again and again and again and again and
Yeah.
again. Like, it's not like he's the king of the spectacle,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I like to do. Just on a smaller budget scale. So yeah, even when we were writing it, like, I'd get notes, just more Spielberg, more Spielberg, because we all knew
Yeah.
what we were trying to do. We were trying to do kind of a, like a poltergeisty kind of Jaws-y thing, and
Yeah.
yeah, it very much wears its influences on its sleeve in that respect.
It's funny you mentioned Poltergeist, because I was thinking about really cool self-contained movies that take place in apartment complexes, and part 3 of Poltergeist is one of those movies that came to my mind, because it's all inside.
I've never seen that. I've actually
It's
never
all
seen
inside like
Poltergeist
a
3. Yeah.
condiment building. Yeah. Anyway, it's
honestly, I was thinking more Alien in that regard,
yep,
like
yep.
single location, one monster, bunch of
Vents.
people getting eaten over time.
Yeah.
A creature that's going to incapacitate you in some kind of gooey substance and then do horrible
Yeah.
things to you. Yeah, that's all very Alien. Even the design of a giant redback spider is kind of Geiger-esque.
100%, 100%. But for a very self-contained story, you've made amazing use of all of the nooks and crannies that are inside these apartments and the floors and the levels. Was the film always self-contained from the get-go? Did you originally have a much larger scope with the original script?
Well, you know me, Glenn. I always start with a large scope and then we get smaller. Yeah, I had scenes outside. And then at some point in the rewrites, we just kind of went, oh, come on, let's just put it all in one building. It'll be more like the Nostromo. That's cooler. And it'll cost less, I think originally the part that Danny played, the scientist, the Korean, biology student, he was outside the building. He was originally Charlotte's teacher. But anyway, it was all convoluted. But yeah, they always start bigger and then they shrink by design, But I think it was right to do it all in one location. I think that I'm a big fan of the single location horror.
Yeah, for sure. I'm assuming you shot all of that in studio in Australia. Was there any American production involved? Like those exterior shots were gorgeous, and I'm trying to figure out whether they were studio, whether they were on location. Where was that?
I don't know. This is all just like Shutterstock stuff, man. Like I shouldn't be giving it away, but yeah, like we just went online and I went that shot, that shot, that shot.
Amazing, amazing. I love it.
Put a meteor into that shot, and yeah. I mean, that's I mean, I did that for Necrotronic. So Necrotronic was ostensibly set, in Australia, but all the external stuff was
Brilliant.
I think buildings in Toronto. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that stuff going on in indie filmmaking these days.
Yeah, 100%.
We can't afford. We talked about it, and we were like, I mean, Jamie even looked into going. I got mates in New York. We'll get a skeleton crew. They'll just put a drone up. And I mean, we had those discussions, and eventually it was just like, yeah, what did you say about the Shutterstock, whatever it was, and we just went on and just got it online. It's just easier for everybody.
Done effectively, I can tell you.
Thank you,
really
sir.
Well placed.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and we shot it. We did shoot it in a studio in Artarmon. Actually, weirdly, the old ABC studios where they shot Play School. So Noni was wandering around going like, "That's where the Red Rocket was," And she was laughing her head off.
Is John still alive? Was he wandering? I don't know. He might have passed away.
We didn't see him.
No, the ghost of John. Look, as a horror fan, like one thing that I think that is undervalued is the power of a jump scare. I think a lot of people really dismiss jump scares as cheap tricks, but I'm not one of those. I think they're very effective. But what you've managed to do in this one is combine jump scares with tension and suspense in a really cool way. And that's kind of a fundamental difference between Wormwood and this. In Wormwood, you could just throw blood on something and you please your audience. With this one, they're a harder crowd to please with suspense.
Yeah.
Was it nerve-wracking and difficult? And how do you know when suspense works?
This is the first film where I've actively and properly worked on trying to do jump scares, and I think I got 50% there.
More.
I'm still looking into the philosophy and the science of jump scares, and it's not just a cheap trick. It is really hard to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got halfway there. I got a few good ones, but weirdly, the biggest moment still is just the spider crawling in the mouth. Spoiler alert.
My God, yeah.
And that's not a jump scare. That's just a horrible, horrible thing that we did really well. And it's funny. Yeah. We've got a few really decent jump scares in there, but I'm like, I reckon I can do better, And but it's really good because some of them do work, and it's great to go in audiences and see people's popcorn explode.
Yeah.
And people grabbing their partners and screaming, and I'm like, oh yeah, we got there, No, I love a good jump scare, man. And it was really fun to kind of work on those. And a lot of it is tension, misdirect, explosive misdirect, so the thing has to come from the place where you don't think it's coming. It's a real art. They're really hard to do.
I imagine it's like writing a good joke. It's a punchline essentially. And when it's done well, it's done really well. I reckon you're selling yourself short. I think you've done more than 50% with the jump scares. It's an effective jump movie.
Thanks, Glenn. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you for saying that. That's
not
good.
Blowing smoke up your ass either. I actually mean it.
I don't care if it's smoke, truth, lie. That just felt good. That made me happy, man. If you're happy, I'm happy.
Movie criticism magic, right there. Smoke.
Yes.
And mirrors.
Yes.
Are you more nervous with about an audience's reaction with a movie like this as opposed to Wormwood? Is it because this is not gratuitous violence, just for shits and giggles. This is really scary stuff. So what is a test audience like for this, if you have a test audience?
Yeah, it was really hard for me because I'm used to making films that are more action horror with a lot more comedy. So I'm used to more sounds and laughter and reaction from the audience.
Yeah.
So to have I've made a film where there's long periods where the audience isn't saying anything. And sometimes I'd get to the end of a screening and think, oh, did I make a bad movie? And then people would grab me and go, that was mad. I love that. That was awesome. And I'm like, really? You weren't making too many sounds? They're like, what sound am I going to make? I'm horrified. You know what I mean? So the sound of horror sometimes is the sound of silence. But, there's enough screams and enough laughs, to keep you going. But yeah, it's a different film for me, it was interesting to make something that dared to just be a drama for 20 minutes, no, all of my other films just have a fist in face kind of just constant through line, whereas this one there's long silences. And I think if you're trying to make decent horror, like you have to ride out those silences, to get to the scream. So yeah, it's been really satisfying and scary to make a film like that.
Well, kudos, man. It's fucking great. How soon had you moved on to this after Apocalypse? Was this when you spoke to me last time? Were you holding out on me with this one?
Oh, dude, I don't think so. I can't remember. What year did we talk after Apocalypse? Like 2019?
Yeah, it was getting a Monster Fest screening. We were promoting that, and
yeah, I was holding out on you, man. I had that in my back pocket. Like I think by that point I had written it, but I was still trying to work out if I don't think Hilton and Ponton and C Pictures had agreed to make it yet. Yeah. But I definitely had it in my back pocket, and I was hoping to make it. I think I actually wrote Sting before I wrote Wormwood Apocalypse, but because it was something that was like at a certain budget, I'd taken it to a bunch of producers and they just went, we don't have the budget to make this. Like, you're an Australian filmmaker, write something with a smaller budget. And then Jamie came and he goes, I don't know if we have the budget for this, but this is awesome. Like, let's make this, let's try. And they were right. We could make it. Yeah. Awesome. The marketplace accepted it.
You're not holding out on me this time, because out of the gate you were like, I'm making a big shark movies. So now I want to know about that. What are you allowed to talk about that at all?
Yeah. It's called Beast of War. Like, I'm in pre-production. I'm a couple of weeks away from filming.
Of course, I've seen the test poster and stuff.
Yeah. This is me doing like a weird little Australian version of the SS Indianapolis speech from Jaws. So yeah, like the HMAS Armidale went down in 1942 between Darwin and East Timor, and a bunch of Aussies got eaten by sharks. I'm not really making that. It's not a historical thing. Like I'm making, this is Wormwood with sharks, man. Like I'm just making a balls to the wall insane. I'm going back to my roots. Like I sort of got to the end of Sting and I was like, well, I've almost made a classy film. Like I need to clear my palate and make something insane again. So like I'm going back to that. And then after that, I'm looking to make probably another thing like Sting, So I think what I'll try and do is I'll make a classy thing and then just a crazy comic book thing and then just rinse, repeat, Like I would love that, and then I'll die happy.
Oh, we would all love that, mate. Look, yeah, that's about it from me. Like, thank you so much for having a chat, but just making the kind of movies I love. Like, I talk to lots of filmmakers, and I don't necessarily love all the things they do, but you're different, sir. I do enjoy everything.
Oh, Glenn, you say the nice things. But yeah, there's me and you, and like there's a whole subsection of audience that is just us. People who came up watching Spielberg and enjoying Alien, and like that's who I make films for. And I just hope that the young people like them too. They do seem to like them, so I think they might let me do a couple more.
Well, all those young'uns need is a hat like this and some glasses like this and some facial hair, and they're in the club.
We shall teach them. we shall teach them our Jedi ways.
Thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Glenn. Always good to talk to you, man.
Charlotte! Hey there, little guy. We're gonna call you Sting. Cool.
Okay.
Hey, Mom.
Excitement's growing in the house tonight. Whatever your mood, you're gonna lose your blues tonight. What the hell happened to it?
Rats. Nasty?
Could a spider grow in a couple of hours?
The stars in the sky. There's something on the house tonight.
There is noise.
Come on, Sting.
You got a problem with doors?
Now we have to deal with this together.